Welcome to my channel and my new podcast. Bundesbank with record loss despite huge gain in gold position. If this topic interests you, then you may want to read Dr. Polite's Boom and Bust report for investors who want to know what's happening in the world's economic and financial system. All information on www.boombustreport.com. On February 25, 2025, the Deutsche Bundesbank, Germany's central bank, presenting its annual report for 2024, revealing a loss of 19.2 billion euro. Is that a lot? Yes, in fact, it is a huge loss. It is equivalent to 7.2% of the Bundesbank's equity capital and almost half a percentage point of German GDP. It is the first loss since the 1970s, when the Bretton Woods system collapsed and the Bundesbank had to write off the market value of its US dollar reserves. Now you may ask, why is the Bundesbank running up losses? Well, there are two answers to this question. The first answer is, the Bundesbank has bought bonds in the past at completely inflated prices. You surely remember, central banks had driven interest rates to extremely low levels just a few years ago, and as a result bond prices soared to stratospheric levels, and central banks, including the Bundesbank, bought the bonds at these inflated prices. However, central banks have since raised interest rates again, and as a result bond prices have collapsed, causing accounting losses for the Bundesbank. At the end of 2023, the Bundesbank had a bond portfolio of 1 trillion euro, but by the end of 2024 this number had dropped to 911 billion euro because some of the bonds were redeemed over the course of the year. What's important, however, is that the bonds on the Bundesbank's balance sheet are not recorded at market values, but at historical costs or acquisition costs, as the Bundesbank does not adhere to the accounting principles of the corporate world, which promote transparency and honesty. As a result, the bank's accounting losses remain concealed from prying eyes. Just to give you an idea, a 10-year bond with a nominal value of 100 euro and a 1% coupon has a market value of 100 euro. If the interest rate rises to, say, 2.5%, the market value of the bond drops by 14%, down to 86 euro. Even if one doesn't know the details, we can sense that the unreported losses on the Bundesbank's balance sheet are probably huge. However, in this context I should note that the accounting losses will probably decline as the bonds get closer to maturity, as their market values move back to their par values. However, the undisclosed losses prevent the public from seeing the true state of financial affairs of their central bank. The second answer: in 2024, the Bundesbank made a loss of 13.1 billion euro from net interest income, compared to a loss of 13.9 billion in 2023. How come? Well, the Bundesbank is earning less interest on its bond portfolio than it pays out to the German banks. And yes, you have heard correctly. The Bundesbank pays interest to the banks. The deposits that the banks hold with the Bundesbank are even generously rewarded. At the beginning of the year, banks were getting 4%, but following the European Central Bank interest rate cuts, it is now only 2.75%. Some private investors might only marvel at that. Now you may ask, who got the money that the Bundesbank lost? Well, here is the answer. Those who sold the bonds to the Bundesbank at inflated prices received the money. So primarily banks, hedge funds and other institutional investors. Also, the banks received money from the Bundesbank by holding interest-bearing deposits which carry no default risk at the Bundesbank. Who suffers from the Bundesbank loss? Well, simply put, it harms all those who literally speaking didn't receive any money from the Bundesbank. Those who received new money from the Bundesbank are the beneficiaries, while those who didn't are the disadvantaged. From an economic perspective, however, one should not mourn the fact that the Bundesbank won't be paying a profit to the state due to its loss, as it has not done since 2020 due to a lack of profits. Because a central bank profit does not make an economy richer. A central bank profit is essentially money creation out of thin air. Sure, politicians are happy when they receive new money from the central bank because it allows them to fund their policies, bribe voters, and especially pay themselves. But the central bank profit, that is, the increase in the money supply for the state, does not make the economy wealthier. If it were, we could make all the people in the world rich simply by giving them newly created money. But we know that this isn't true. The central bank profit enriches, like any money supply increase, only a few at the expense of many others, reducing the purchasing power of money. There is a silver lining, however, that should be mentioned in this context. The Bundesbank famously holds around 3,350 tons of gold, making it the second largest gold holder in the world after the United States Treasury. The gold reserve is recorded on the asset side of the Bundesbank's balance sheet at market values, which at the end of 2024 amounted to 270 billion euro. Since the market price of gold has risen, the Bundesbank made a valuation gain of 69.2 billion euro in 2024. This gain was transferred into the so-called revaluation reserve, which counts towards equity, thus increasing the bank's capital base. Without this significant gain in gold valuation, the Bundesbank's balance sheet loss would have been much higher. What can we learn from all this? Well, the key lesson is this. Don't get distracted from the bigger picture. The Bundesbank is a central bank that, in close cooperation with other European central banks, creates the fiat euro currency out of thin air. And the fiat euro, like any other fiat money, is economically and ethically deeply flawed. The Bundesbank's loss in 2024 should remind us that this time it is not the state benefiting from the Bundesbank's money creation, but rather, as I already said, the banks and the financial industry, to the detriment of everyone else. Above all, however, the Bundesbank's loss should remind us that fiat money is literally destroying an economy. This is well known both in theory and in practice. And if the Bundesbank's loss in 2024 makes you think that something is wrong with our money, with the euro, then you can be sure that your feeling is not misleading. And so I close with the words of the US economist Irving Fisher, who wrote that irredeemable paper money, that is, fiat money like the euro, has always proven to be a curse for the economies that use it. If you want to know what this means for your money, your savings and investments, then read Dr. Polite's Boom and Bust report. You should not miss our analyses and recommendations. For more information, please visit our website www.boombustreport.com. Thank you very much for your attention.